Okay, Chair, we are now live on YouTube.
Thank you, Cornelia. Good morning, all. Welcome to everyone. I'd like to ask everyone present to introduce themselves, please. My name is Councillor Amarjit Chemu, and I'm chairing today's panel.
Councillor Nigel Sumner, Hanger Hill Ward.
I'm Councillor Gareth Shaw of Walpole Ward.
Bob Deere, Licensing Compliance and Enforcement Officer for Ealing Council.
Mr. Panchal from Personal License Course is representing the client. Mr. Harjinder Singh is here with me.
Thank you.
My name is Cornelia Harding. I'm a Democratic Services Officer and I'll be taking the minutes.
Thank you. And our legal advisor today is Alison. Alison, are you with us? Morning, Alison. Are you with us? Alison is our legal advisor, Alison Love. She's the legal advisor today. She was with us. I think we have a technical glitch here. I'm sure she will be with us, but I think we're going to have to wait a moment or so. Cornelia, I guess that's the normal procedure whilst we wait for Alison to join us. I do apologise, everyone. Hello, Alison, can you hear us?
I think both Alison and Cornelia are missing now, Chair.
Yes, I think we've just lost Cornelia as well. She was talking about technical glitch just a few moments ago. We may have to wait a few moments whilst we wait for them both to get back in. I know we are live, but as I said, I do apologise. We do have to wait until they both get in.
Sorry, Chair. Yeah, I think we did see her last time. We just lost her.
Yes, she was here. She
was here. Yes, that's right. I did see her.
I don't know if anyone's got a mobile number for any of them. I certainly don't.
We've also lost Cornelia.
Yes, we've lost Cornelia as well. Yeah. I think I saw a little.
Yes, I did. I did. Yes.
Something just now that she was trying to make Alison the main person, and then we lost them both.
Yep, Cornelia's back.
Hi, Cornelia. Hello. Cornelia, welcome back. I believe we lost you for a little while there.
Yes, you did. I'm sorry about that, but I'm back now.
That's okay.
Thank you.
We can't, Alison's not responding. Have you spoken with her?
No, I haven't.
Because realistically, we all need to be in a meeting before we can proceed.
Yes, thank you for noticing that I dropped out. I did drop out briefly.
Yes,
I will try to contact Alison now. Thank you. Just bear with me, please.
We were trying to start this early, but it never happened. They're bang on time.
I know. No. Cheer up, Bob.
Yeah, we'll just wait for Cornelia and Alison to join us. Hello, Alison. Can you hear us? Hello, Alison. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Then fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I can't use Zoom on my Surface Pro for some reason, so I've logged in elsewhere.
I noticed, but you're with us, and that's the important thing. We were going through introductions. We've all introduced ourselves. If you just want to introduce yourself before we proceed, please.
Hi, I'm Alison Luffer, legal advisor to the panel.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, now I'm just going to explain the procedure as we go along. Right. Good morning again to everyone. Welcome to today's hearing. My name is Councillor Amarjit Chemu, and I shall be chairing the meeting today. My colleagues, Councillor Gareth Shaw and Councillor Nigel Sumner, and I comprise today's subcommittee. Alison Luff is the legal advisor to the subcommittee, and Cornelia Harding is the clerk to the subcommittee and will be minuting the meeting. In accordance with the procedure, I shall invite the licensing authority to present the application for a review hearing and call any witnesses in respect of whom permission to appear has been given and answer any questions put to them. I will then invite the premises holder to make their representation and answer any questions. And then invite the parties will briefly sum up their respective cases. At the end of the hearing, the subcommittee, accompanied by the legal advisor and the committee clerk, will retire to consider its decision. The decision will be given at the end of the meeting and confirmed in writing within 5 working days. Okay, thank you.
Sorry,
Right.
Chair. Sorry, Chair. Can I?
Yes, Mr.
The applicant in the applicant in this case is Bob Deere, not so he'll be presenting before us, isn't it?
That's right. He's the licensing authority.
The applicant, you said, was us, but the applicant in this case is Bob Deere,
It's
not
Bob
us.
Deere. That's right. I do apologize. It is.
Sorry. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Okay. If that's the case, let's start now. I'd like to invite Bob Deere to present your case.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this is an application from the Licensing Authority to Ealing Council for a review of the premises licence for You Food and Wine, 189 Lady Margaret Road, UB1 2PT. The Licensing Authority are one of the responsible authorities prescribed under the Licensing Act 2003. On the 24th of November 2021, the Licensing Authority submitted an application for a review of these premises, and this application was made after 2 visits over an 8-month period by licensing and trading stand officers to the premises where illicit cigarettes, tobacco and alcohol were seized. The premises are situated in a parade of shops on a busy road with mixed residential and commercial properties. And these premises have been licensed since the 18th of February 2005. However, it was transferred to Mr. Harjinder Singh on the 16th of May 2016, and the designated premise supervisor is shown as Mr. Ravinder Singh. There are 3 other off licenses within 500 metres, in fact, less than that. They're near enough next door to each other. No representations were received from any of the other responsible authorities, and I can just add that the statutory requirements for the blue notice was posted, and the application, the copy application, was put in the public notices of the Ealing Gazette on the 1st of December 2021. So this review has come about after 2 visits to the premises. The first was on Wednesday, the 17th of March 2021, when I visited. When I entered the shop at 13:20, there was 1 mouse shop assistant present. I identified myself producing my identification, and the purpose of the visit was explained. And whilst checking behind the counter, the officer picked up a 70 cl bottle of High Commissioner whiskey from the shelf that was clearly on display for sale. The UK duty sticker had been stuck over the original label that you could clearly see underneath. The premises holder, Mr. Harjinder Singh, then entered the premises, and I found another 3 bottles identical to the first on the shelf, all openly for sale to the public. When asked if there was any other property on the premises license holder stated it was old stock and no more was in the shop. I checked this locked storeroom, and from underneath other stock, I found another 12 bottles in a box, all with the same sticker stuck over the original label. Also behind the gantry, the counter on the gantry, I found a 250 gram pouch of shisha tobacco. Did not have any health warnings or duty paid markings. And after speaking to Mr. Singh, the 16 bottles and 1 pouch of shisha tobacco was signed over for destruction and the first and final warning given. Officers from Trading Standards and Licences re-attended the premises on Tuesday the 16th of November 2021. And when we attended the premises at 8:35 p.m, we saw Mr. Singh stood behind the counter with another member of staff, and there was a plastic bag in front of him, and a female customer of Eastern European appearance. They were discussing what tobacco he had and the cost of it. We identified ourselves, and Mr. Singh was told to leave the bag on the counter, and the woman turned and walked out of the shop. The purpose of the visit was explained, and in the bag was found 32 20 packets, 640 cigarettes, 450 gram packages of roll your own tobacco, and a quantity of Indian tobacco. On the shelves where bottles are on display, we found 2 70 cl bottles of High Commission whiskey that were identical, that had been seized from the premises 8 months previously. The property was counted and listed in a receipt book in the presence of the premises license holder and signed over for destruction. So in total, over the 2 visits, 640 cigarettes, 200 grams of roll your own tobacco, and 416 grams of Indian tobacco, 250 grams of shisha tobacco, and 12.6 litres of duty diverted alcohol been seized. And the duty unpaid amounts to over £430. The licence authority is saying that the premises holder is failing to promote the crime prevention, crime and disorder, licence objective, and are asking for a verification of this licence. And that is the evidence. There are no other witnesses, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Panchal.
Sorry, Chair, I'm just trying to unmute myself and to come in. Should I ask a few questions to Bob, or should I present it, Chairman, with your permission?
You're welcome. You're welcome to ask questions to Bob, and then you can present.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, just one question to Bob. Did you make any visits prior to this visit? Say, for instance, I'm talking about the visit that you made on the 17th of March 2021. The license Harjinder has held since 2016. Were there any visits between 2016 to 17th March 2021? Were there any visits carried out by the responsible authorities from your records?
Yes, there was one visit in 2018, I think it was. Yeah, 2018.
And that there was no products found then?
No, nothing on that visit.
Nothing on that visit. So between 2016 to 2018 or 2021, there were no products. So the client was trading with full consent of, without any breaches. Were any other visits made after your visit on 16th of November?
Just to clarify my last answer, there was one visit made, and only one visit between 2016 and 2021, and nothing was found on that visit. No other visits were made. The only other visit that was made was the 24th of November, when the review papers were served.
And during that visit, did you find any products at the shop?
I was invited to, if I wanted to do an inspection, but that was declined.
Sorry, sorry, Bob. You were declined to do any inspection, or sorry?
I declined the offer. I was just there to serve the review papers, get a signature off Mr. Singh, which I did. He'd received the papers. He fully understood the severity of the review and the powers that were open to the committee. And I left the premises after putting up the blue poster.
Thank you so much, Bob. Thanks, Chair. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, do you want to present your case, or was that sufficient?
That's quite sufficient, Chair. I would have asked Bob, and I'm quite happy with what Bob does normally. We always get in touch. But thank you very much, Chair. Unless the councillors want to ask any questions to Bob before I can present my case.
I will go on to that, Mr. Panchal. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Can I invite my fellow councillors? Have you got any questions? Sumner?
No, I have no questions. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Shaw?
You're on mute.
Yes, sorry, thank you, Chair. I was just wondering, Mr. Deere, if, on the inspection, obviously you found evidence of the High Commissioner whiskey with the labels stuck over them. Did you find any other bottles or any other spirits that had sort of similar labels stuck on them or not?
Mr. Deere?
It's frozen.
Sorry,
Technical glitch. Mr.
Chair,
Deere?
it was totally.
We have another technical issue by the sound of this. Cornelia, are you with us?
Yes, Chair, I'm here.
I'm just wondering whether you can assist with this.
I've asked him to unmute. All I can do is ask him to unmute.
No,
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I think, Bobby, can we hear? Can you say
it's not muted, but we can't hear him.
Please? Mr. Deere, can you hear us?
Green seems to be frozen.
Sorry, Chair.
Perhaps
that
Bob, sorry,
you
can
wanted
we
to unmute. Unfortunately, I cannot hear one question. I don't know if we can ask one person to their mic and then one person ask a question, because it's
Bob, you need to respond to Councillor Shaw's question, please, and everybody else can please not use the mic while Bob's talking. Thank you.
Councillor Shaw, sorry, I did not hear one word of your question. If you could repeat it, please, I can attempt to.
Yes, of course. Thanks. Yeah, I was just asking if, obviously, you've given the evidence that you found the stickers over the High Commissioner whiskey. I am assuming from this that you inspected the other sort of spirits that were on display and that there were no stickers over those or any other spirits or liqueurs that were being sold.
That is correct, Chair. Councillor, sorry. Basically, there are only certain brands that the people use to divert, because the labels are easier to manufacture, and it all depends on shapes of bottles and things like that. But High Commissioner is one of the favourites, but no other types of drink were diverted in the shop.
Thank you, Bob. Bob, I have a question as well, please. With regards, it's actually with regards to the stickers. I've never actually heard of this particular brand of whiskey before. Is that something that's imported, or is that something that's made in this country? I mean, is that where the stickers come in and they disguise the labels? Is that how it is?
What it is, and I'm sure High Commissioner won't like me saying this, but it's quite a cheap, lower end whiskey. And what it is that it's the bottles that we seize are for export. They're stopped at the port or on way to countries in the world, and obviously a UK sticker is then placed over the top of the non-duty sticker, and then they're brought back into our market and sold at a very cheap price.
Okay, thank you. Right, are there any other questions? Otherwise, I shall follow the procedure.
Sorry, Chair, one more question to Bob. When this question was put up about the High Commissioner whiskey, was the whiskey was not counterfeit? Am I right in saying that? Sorry, my question to Bob is, the whiskey was not counterfeit.
Sorry, Chair, if that was a question.
Sorry, can I repeat the question again, Bob? Yeah, well, the whiskey was not counterfeit. That was my question.
No, it's not counterfeit. It's just duty diverted. It's obviously to stop people paying the UK duty on it.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I will now invite the Mr. Penchal to present your case.
Yes, Chair. Thank you very much, Chair, for allowing me to present the case. As I already said to you in the morning, Mr. Harjinder Singh is with me here, sitting here. If there are any questions or anything that in future, after my presentation, if you want to ask him anything. I will briefly give you the background of the shop. The shop has been, Harjinder has acquired the shop in 2016. That was his project when he was 18 years old. And he's still running the shop. The shop has a post office in the shop. As you heard from Bob Deere when I questioned about the visits and the way the shop was carried out since 2016 to 2021, there were no breaches up to 2021. The visits were carried out, as you heard from Bob. There is a wider community that visits the shop all the time. The shop has been involved during the COVID period in helping the NHS staff, providing gloves and that in the Ealing Hospital on numerous occasions. And the hospital still has the name of the shop there. So it's a prominent shop in the community. Now, we do understand during COVID period, everybody was struggling, shutting the shop up and down and trying to survive. And there is no reason, or there is nothing that my client is saying that, he should be doing it or not doing it. He's very sorry for what he's done during the 17th March visit. And as you heard, the product that he sold was duty not paid. it was duty diverted, but the product was not a counterfeit product. You heard about that. The labels of the non-duty paid did come with the bottles. So it wasn't my client who put the labels in. So he did not try to undermine by the HMRC by putting his own labels on it or any labels of that sort. But the labels were carried on from there. He had bought it from Charles House, which is a wholesaler thing there. Since he said to me that that he paid cash for it, he has a cash receipt, which he produced it to his accountant. So again, he did not, by any chance, defraud the HMRC by saying, I'm not paying the tax, because there is a return on the sales and there's a return on the purchase and that which is accounted for. So there is a VAT that the accountants normally, even if you pay cash, they deduct the VAT which is to be paid in and the VAT to be paid out. So that's the reason for the 17th March visit by Bob Deere. And we thank Bob Deere for allowing the customer to say, yes, we're going to warn you, please don't do it again. Come November 2021, there were no whiskies found, but the whiskies which remained during the first visit, 2 bottles, which were missed by the responsible authority, were left on the shelf, unfortunately. So that was caught up. Now I asked my client, how did you manage to get all the cigarettes and all those which were counterfeit? And again, his answer was very simple. We had a polishman who came to our shop on a regular basis, buying all the stuff. He lost his job during the COVID period, and he had an outstanding bill. Normally, shopkeepers are not allowed to give a long credit, but in this case, Mr. Harjinder Singh said, okay, if he bought something for £20 and had a £5 credit not to be paid, his £5 was written in the book and say, okay, I'll pay it later. And the bill mounted so much that Harjinder was frustrated and said, look, you need to pay this. So he came up and he said, look, here's the stuff I've got, little bit cigarettes and that I brought in from Poland. You can sell it and recover what my bills are. Hence, that is what the cigarettes were and that. In that box, there was some Indian tobacco. I'm going to explain to you where the Indian tobacco came in from. If you walk down to Southall or you walk down to Wembley, there are Indian tobaccos sold all over and everybody sells it. And hence, my client had a few clients. So he went again to Charles House and bought this for an official receipt paid in a cash receipt. And all the other shopkeepers were selling it. So he was selling it, not aware that, again, this is not to be sold. So that's where the Indian tobacco came in. The other products I'm saying to you, this is where these products came in to recover the bill that the Polish person had left over. Unfortunately, again, the visits by Bob Deere was made and these products were caught in. He again feels very sorry about what might have happened in the frustration of recovering his money and all that. Sorry, am I with you? So this is where the whole thing came in. And in conclusion, my today to the committee, I'm saying that this isn't anything that he is regularly doing it. He's had the shop since 2016. He's being part of the community, having a post office at the shop, dealing with the local community. He has had no problems. The community, he works along with the community, and it is essential that he works again with the community. He's 24 years now. He's concentrating in this business. And it will be sad if today the license was revoked and he had to then leave the business, because 30% of his business is with alcohol at the moment. But he's learned his lesson. That's very important. He has learned his lesson. He understands the 4 licensing objectives, and he's willing to, my suggestion from my point of view, to say to him that he needs to pay more attention and he needs to have a change of the DPS, because the DPS has not paid much attention to the shop. So my suggestion to him is to change the DPS today and have a new DPS fully trained. I'm requesting Harjinder to come on to a separate, although he's come into the course after this incident, he's had a chat with us, he's sat down with us, and hence that is why my question to Bob Deere was, during your visit, did you find anything else after that? There was nothing in the shop. And he's open, and he invited Mr. Bob Deere when he went to put the notice up to say, please do come in and check my shop. Mr. Bob Deere rightfully said, well, I'm here to put the notice up and not come to check it. But if he had checked it, my client was absolutely clear. And we feel, ma'am, that today, if the license is given a suspension period for what mistakes he has carried out for a month, which where he can go back and appoint a new DPS, have the new DPS changed, and carry on trading. That is what our suggestion is. And I'm happy to take any questions. I'm happy to put my submission at the end. And my client feels very sorry for what went through. We're all suffering during the COVID period. So we are saying, ma'am, this is what the way forward. We're looking for businesses to go on. And he again feels very, very sorry for what has happened. But there are records. The records speak that 2016 to 2020-21, he has not breached anything. You heard from Bob Deere also during their visits in 2018 that he is quite clear. So, ma'am, that's what our suggestion is today. And I'm happy to take any questions if you wish to.
Thank you, Mr. Panchal. Over to my fellow councillors for questions.
Yes, I have a question, please.
Councillor Shaw?
Yes, Mr. Panchal, you said that the box that was found in the visit in March, the box of High Commissioner whiskey that was found and taken was in the back and wasn't for sale. Is that correct?
Sorry, it wasn't?
Yeah, the box of High Commissioner whiskey that was in the back storeroom. Your client is saying that wasn't for sale, and he made that clear to the staff in there.
Yes, yeah, that box was up in the store, from what I get from the message from my client.
Yeah,
and that wasn't up displayed for sale.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, in that case, why when Mr. Deere had found the whiskey for sale on the shelves and asked if there was any others on the premises, your client answered, no, there isn't.
Are you talking about the second visit? Sorry, Councillor.
No, this is the first visit in March.
Yeah, the first visit in March, I think that was the bottles that Bob Deere found. I think there were about 3 bottles found on the shelf, and the rest were in the store. In the
storeroom, yes, that's right. Yeah. So what I'm asking is, Mr. Deere says that he having found 3 bottles on the shelf for sale, he asked your client if there were any more bottles like that on the premises, and your client answered no. So I'm just wondering why he said that when the box was in the storeroom, that's all. I'm sorry, I think you may have frozen, Mr. Panchal.
It looks like he's frozen, Councillor Shaw. We may have to wait a moment while his screen gets sorted before he can respond, I believe. Mr. Panchal, are you there? think we've lost him. Cornelia, if you can help us and get him
Yes,
back.
I think he does seem to have dropped out, but hopefully he'll rejoin shortly. If we can just pause the meeting while until
yes.
he returns.
Of course. Mr. Pancho, can you hear us?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. I think we lost you there. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about the connection again.
Did you get the question? Are you ready to answer the question?
Yes, sorry, Chair. Yes, I do apologize. I thought it wouldn't happen to me, but it did happen to me today. Sorry, Councillor Gareth. He did say that there wasn't any others because he thought the one that was left in the store or not, he wasn't very sure. But there was one then right at the back, he said. Yeah, and the bottles were sealed up, in the boxes were tight, so he wasn't very sure they're there or not.
Thank you.
Is that Councillor Shaw? Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you, Chair. Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Sumner, do you have any questions for Mr. Pancho?
No, that's fine. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Mr. Penshall, from what you've said, I've actually got a couple of questions from your brief that you gave us just now, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
You mentioned Charles House, which, you know, I'm assuming that's a wholesale place where your client picked up these goods.
Yeah, that's correct, Chair. Charles House is a wholesale place where normally you get toys and you get things like alcohol and all. They're sold in wholesale there.
Yeah.
It's a wholesale Indian wholesale market. It's quite huge.
From me, I mean, from what you said earlier, you know, not paying VAT is, you know, an act in itself when you're paying cash and, you know, and no invoices. I think you should ask your clients to inform us who where this place is, where he obtained this stuff.
Yes, Chair, I did mention to you that it's not VAT not paid. What normally happens at Charles House, what he said that this stuff that he bought from Charles House, he paid cash and they gave him a cash sale. This is a cash sale. No. Cash sale is equivalent to an invoice.
You mentioned not paying VAT, so that's why I asked that question.
No. I never said not paid VAT. I said VAT is paid on a cash sale. So when you buy on a cash sale, you're just given a cash sale receipt to say 10 bottles of X at £20 or whatever. And then you submit that invoice to your accountant. So there is a cash sale submitted to the accountant, and the accountant would then normally work out the VAT on the cash sale products you bought.
Okay, who is Ravinder Singh? Can you ask your client that, please?
Yeah, Ravinder Singh is a staff who was appointed the DPS. I've asked that to my client who Ravinder Singh is. Ravinder Singh is the present DPS. He isn't a business partner or anything. He's a worker normally, and he was appointed the DPS.
Okay. Thank you. Right. Bob, Mr. Deere? Hello, Mr. Deere? I think Bob's screen is frozen. Mr. Dear? Hello, Bob. Are you with us?
Certain people's answers are,
Perhaps everybody except for
I have-
Mr.
I have
Mis-
2 questions, Chair. If Mr. off, we can answer when it's on.
We can't hear. I mean, I didn't hear a word you said, Bob. I don't know whether you want to.
I think Bob is suggesting that we all go on mute and allow him to speak, perhaps.
Mute.
You hear me?
Please go ahead, Bob. Mr. Dear.
Bob, please go ahead. Everybody else is muted.
Right. Can people hear me now? I'll try again. Chair, I've got 2 questions. One is regarding the alleged purchase in Charles House. Mr. Singh is 24. He's been in the trade for 6 years. He knows the sort of place Charles House is. You do not buy alcohol from Charles House because all you get is counterfeit stuff. It's the biggest counterfeiting place there is in Europe, I think, buying stuff. But we're here today, and I hear that one suggestion by Mr. Panchal is to change the DPS. Well, we're here 7 weeks after I applied for a review, and Mr. Panchal and his client is asking for another 4 weeks to change the DPS when that's done already, because Mr. Ravinder Singh has never been seen. I just want Mr. Panchal to answer that one.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dear. Do you have any questions for to Mr. Panchal, Mr. Dear?
I'll try a question, Chair. Can you hear me? Right. Charles House is alleged it's been bought there. I take it that the sale, because we heard that an invoice is somewhere in existence. It's not here today. It's never been offered. I just wonder why not. And when you go to Charles House, you don't just buy 1 bottle, 2 bottles. You buy cases of alcohol. That's what Mr. Singh bought. You know, he's an experienced licensee. He knows, or hopefully knows, the difference between something with a UK label and something without.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dear. Right. Sorry, I'm just following my brief down here. Any other questions, councillors? Are there any other questions you need to ask?
Not from me, thank you.
Nothing from me, Chair, thanks.
Okay, thank you. If that's the case, I think we need to have a sum up. So can we have, what shall I say, 15 minutes? And Cornelia?
Yes, I believe both Mr. Bob Dear, the applicant, and the premises can sum up before we adjourn to make deliberations.
Okay, if that's the case, Bob, I think you go first. Can you sum up, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, this is an experienced licensee, been 8 years, sold, well, probably thousands of bottles of alcohol, and he comes to the committee today and tells you that he bought this few bottles with an invoice from Charles House. No invoice has been produced, and he hasn't brought anything positive to this hearing today in respect of the change of DPS. It should have already been done. Mr. Ravinder Singh is lacking, and it's all his fault. The boxes were on the premises. We've heard that it's not counterfeit. Luckily, it wasn't, because there have been serious offences committed. One other visit was made, and nothing was found, and we're hearing that is a really significant thing. All I say is I've heard nothing that made me change my mind, and I still ask the licence be revoked. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deere. Mr. Panchal?
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. Can you hear me now?
Sum up, please. Yes.
Yeah. Ma'am, my summing up is, here's, I understand that from Bob Deere's point of view, that an experienced license holder has made a mistake which should be taken into consideration for a revocation. This is not a revocation of a license. Many experienced people we have heard and we have seen tend to make mistakes and tend to come ask for a sorry on it. We've heard recently that even the PMs made a mistake and had to say sorry for it. So there can be a sorriness here from my client for the mistake he's admitted. He's openly said to the responsible authority that, yes, I'm sorry for what I've done. And he's said that today, that he's very sorry for what he's done today, which we all do at times when we create a mistake, and we're not, and that this isn't a revocation. There is no counterfeit product from the man. Yes, I agree. He's understood. And he thinks that there's a certain changes during this period could make him go forward, which is a fair comment. He's young. He understands his mistakes at this time. He's approached us for full consultation as soon as the review came in. We advised him what went wrong and how things should not go wrong. He's taken all that in mind. He's happy to say yes. We advised him that yes, it would be a better thing to go forward by bringing in a DPS who can be more day-to-day responsible than what Ravinder Singh was, because Mr. Harjinder Singh at the moment is also busy on the post office side of it. The post office has started becoming busy more than before. He had to make visits home for the pensioners during the COVID period because of their pensions and that to be received. So he is quite a prominent person in the community at the moment. So, ma'am, we feel that a chance definitely should be given, and for that, he is willing to make those changes whilst the process is going on. And you have an option where we feel the option of a suspension would be much more clearer and much more better for him, because there will be a financial loss during that suspension period. And if the license was to be revoked, maybe the shop might end up losing its trade and losing the place where the community would be served. So this is my view from when you go back and make your decision. So you have an option of a suspension to be laid out to these premises, so they can go back. But I can assure you, and I can tell you that they are not willing to come back to this committee in future if the suspension was carried out. They have learned their lesson. He's learned his lesson in this period, and I think he should be given a chance. So, ma'am, when you go back to make your decision, we request you to look at the suspension period and the change of DPS at this instance, and we can assure you and assure Mr. Bob Deere also that we will not be coming back to this committee at any time after this. So that's what our presentation is, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Panchal. And thank you, Mr. Deere, as well. Okay, I think we've got to the stage where the panel can retire and deliberate together with our legal advisor, Alison. If that's the case, I no longer need to speak to Bob or Mr. Panchal for now. I think we can retire. Cornelia, is 15 minutes, half an hour? What's the normal protocol for this?
I think half an hour, so say about 11:45 for the decision.
Okay, fine. Okay, thank you. So if Bob and Mr. Panchal both can get off retire from the screens for now, please. Cornelia, I'll leave that to you.
Yes, Mr. Panchal and Bob Deere, if you can exit the meeting and then rejoin at 11:45, please. I think they have both now
They're gone, yes.
gone, yeah.
Thank you, Cornelia.
Just bear with me. I'll stop the stream for
Thank you.
now. Yeah, I'll
Thank
stop the
you.
live stream.